Good evening, Philippines. Hello, world, and welcome to the season 3, episode 2 of the West Philippine Sea Catch, and an online talk show sponsored and hosted by the National Youth Movement for West Philippine Sea for the purpose of creating and of public awareness and to educate the Filipino people and the international community on the issues, breaking news, and the current affairs in the West Philippine Sea. The topic for tonight's show is the Malampaya gas field in the West Philippine Sea, updates and developments. I am Angelo J. Pedro, a senior high school student in National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea National Ilocos Chapter, chairperson live from Labag City, Ilocos Norte, Philippines. I would like to welcome all the guests and the participants from different parts of the world where many countries are being represented this evening. We would like to welcome diplomats and overseas Filipinos, students, teachers, and professors, IT specialists, lawyers, civic organizations, business executives, and from all walks of life, media friends, and global citizens.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Cele Lapi, the founder and the global chairperson of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. Again, we welcome everyone to the Season 3, Episode 2 of the West Philippine Sea Catch, entitled The Malampaya Gas Field in the West Philippine Sea, Updates and Developments. Before we proceed to the main segment of this event, I would like to read the NYMWPS disclaimer. Sir Angelo, please. All right. Any views, opinions, comments, or presentation of facts of the guest speaker, panelists, guests, attendees, and netizens are personal, and they do not necessarily reflect the stand and opinions of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, nor the organizations they are affiliated with. Now, let us put our right hand over our left chest for our Philippine national anthem, Lupang Hinirang.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa malulupi, di ka pasisiil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong buhay. Ang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal, at kisgat ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw na'y kailan pa may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the rendition of the Band of Brothers for Lupang Hinirang, and also, of course, Pepe Lozano, JJ Lozano, JC Lozano, the brothers. They're also the members of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, New York chapter. Thank you so much. And now, Sir Angelo, I would, of course, before introducing our guest speaker, I would like to give an overview of Malampaya. The Malampaya gas field is a deep water gas condensate reservoir located in the service contract 38, or we call it SC38 license area, located offshore 65 kilometers northwest of the island of Palawan, Philippines. The Malampaya project began its commercial operations in January 2002 and has been providing power up to 20% of the Philippines' growing electricity requirements. For our guest speaker tonight, of course, I would like to read his short bio. Usec Eduardo V. Mañalac is a former Undersecretary of the Department of Energy of the Republic of the Philippines. He is an exploration geologist and petroleum company executive, and with 35 years experience in national and international petroleum exploration and production management, acreage acquisition, government sharing contracts, and other joint venture negotiations. Usec Mañalac was appointed as President and CEO of the Philippine National Oil Company, or PNOC, on August 30, 2004, and President and CEO of the PNOC Exploration Corporation, or the PNOC-EC, in September 2004, and subsequently Chairman of the PNOC Energy Development Corporation, or the PNOC-EDC, within the same time period. In these capacities, he succeeded in initiating new local exploration efforts, raising the national oil company's competitive edge, ensuring the viability of local investment, renewing foreign interest in local oil exploration and development, and reestablishing PNOC and the country's credibility in both the local and global oil industries. His professional career spans 35 years of experience, 28 of those with the US-based Phillips Petroleum Company, now the ConocoPhillips, in international petroleum exploration and production management, acreage acquisition, production, sharing contracts, and other joint venture negotiations. He attended the University of the Philippines in Diliman, Quezon City, Philippines, where he received a Bachelor of Science degree in geology in 1967, and where he completed postgraduate studies in petroleum geology through 1969. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to present to you our guest speaker for tonight's event, live from Manila, Philippines. Let's all welcome Honorable Undersecretary Eduardo V. Mañalac. Good evening, Usec Mañalac.
Good evening, Dr. Celia. It's
Thank
nice
you so
to it's nice to be back again
Yes,
uh,
Usec Mañalac. It's been more than a
with
year.
you
Yes.
and the National Youth Movement. It's been some time since we all gotten together to talk about Malampaya.
Sure.
So I think it's about time that we revisit it, update each other, tell each other what we have done to date on this matter. So without much ado, I think we can go ahead, Dr. Celia.
Yes, Usec Mañalac. Before your presentation, Usec Mañalac, I just have this question first before you can proceed your presentation. On November 3rd, 2021, see, that's the first one that we tackled this Malampaya with Usec Mañalac. You were a guest speaker, of course, with the season 1, episode 8 of our West Philippine Sea Catch with the topic on the Malampaya gas field in the West Philippine Sea and its importance on energy security of the Filipino people. And on March 5, 2022, the topic was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, its implications on Malampaya gas field in the West Philippine Sea and the lives of the Filipino people. With all the developments with regard to energy crisis, not only in the Philippines, but throughout the world. Presently, Usec Mañalac, I would like to ask, what is the significance of Malampaya gas field to the lives of the Filipino people and energy security of the Philippines? Usec, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Celia. Just to be sure we understand, what energy security means is that we make sure that we have enough fuel to fuel our power plants. We have enough capacity to produce electricity, which is the key to progress and to in our economic activities. So when you ask what all these world events, how it can affect us, it can affect us by way of supply. And supply of fuel, supply of gas, supply of coal, supply of oil, so that, and that's one thing that a nation should make sure that they have enough of it, to power the country and allow it to do its economic activities. So Malampaya, in a sense, is a key factor in the energy security of the country. As you have mentioned earlier, the Malampaya gas supplies and to power enough, about 3,000 plus megawatts of power capacity to electrify or to provide electricity to 20% of what we need in the Philippines. So that's a huge amount of power that will be lost if we if we cannot maintain or keep the supply of gas from Malampaya. So it is very, very important. I think it is key to near-term or mid-term progress in our economy.
Thank you very much, Usec Mañalac. And of course, after your presentation, we will be calling our panelists, and then we will be entertaining the questions of our Zoom participants who are here. And
Okay.
also, if we have time, we can also accommodate the questions of our netizens who are watching live in our NYMWPS FB page. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Usec
you.
Mañalac, for that
thank you.
excellent response of the importance of Malampaya. You can kindly proceed with your presentation. Thank
Okay.
you.
Can I share screen now, Doctora?
Yes, Usec, please.
Hold on. Can you see this? I'm trying to put full screen.
Usec, we can see it. Pa.
Yun. Okay. Okay. As you have said, this is the Malampaya gas field in the West Philippine Sea, and the presentation is an update and a report on the developments since we last met. No? And that was over, as you mentioned, over a year and a half ago. So let me give you a background, and maybe a very important background, in that in 1972, if you remember, in the oil crisis of the 70s, at the height of the Arab oil embargo that resulted from the Arab-Israeli conflict in the Middle East, the Filipino people were adversely affected, which caused extreme hardships like uncontrolled inflation, high cost and even shortage of basic supplies, lack of gasoline, causing long lines of cars in fuel stations, business downturn causing labor problems, etc. In the face of these hardships, then President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., while under martial law, promised that the Filipino people should never again endure such suffering when faced with the Filipinos, that the Filipinos should never again endure such suffering when faced with another oil crisis. He announced that to prevent the problems from happening again, the Philippines should explore for, develop, and produce our own oil and gas within its own territory. It must be destiny, Dr. Celia, because only a few weeks ago, our current president, President Bongbong Marcos Jr., when faced with another oil crisis, the current oil crisis, also said the same words. And he said, we must explore ways to ensure the immediate development of oil and gas resources in the West Philippine Sea. So as you can see, this is 50 years apart. And yet we are in the same, situation again. And that even puts into, prime interest on what you have said earlier. How does the Malampaya affect the energy security of the country? So that The president then, President Marcos, as I've said, decided to uh, to uh, to proceed to promulgate Presidential Decree 1987 to achieve his goal of trying to make sure that any oil crisis in the future will not adversely affect the Filipino people anymore. So President Marcos Sr. promulgated Presidential Decree 1987, which also introduced the contract system. Here again, this is, I've shown this earlier to you guys, but I just want to say it again to emphasize what we will be talking about and what will be important to remember during the entire discussion here. The law, PD 87, its main objective was to yield the maximum benefit to the Filipino people. Remember, the Filipino people, not to just a few rich people. And the revenues accruing from the production of this oil and gas, the revenues to the Filipino government for use in the furtherance of national economic development. However, at the time, the President Marcos Sr. also understood the risk-reward factor in the oil exploration and production business, and that the government may not be able to finance such high-risk operation. So he introduced the service contract system where the government will try to attract big international oil companies to explore for petroleum in the Philippines as its contractors. For the service contract approach to be successful, the contractor must be technically competent. This is key to success in the service contract system. We must make sure that the companies that come and explore and develop our oil and gas are technically confident and financially capable of undertaking the very technical and risky and very expensive operations required by the service contract. Number three, however, as I've said, it is risk and reward. The oil companies take a risk. They might lose, they might not hit oil, and therefore they lose the millions of dollars that they spent drilling the wells. But in return for taking the financial and technical risk of exploring and producing oil and gas, the government will reimburse the contractor for all its exploration and development costs and all the operating costs. And in return, pay the contractor's service fee equivalent to 40% of the net profit from the sale of the oil and gas. So that's a lot of money when you say 40% of the net profit goes to the contractor. And that's the money we will be talking about in this presentation. Lastly, the law also says that the government may undertake petroleum production and may directly explore and produce indigenous petroleum. So President Marcos Sr. at the time in 1973 formed the Philippine National Oil Company to be the national oil company of the Philippines that will be exploring and producing its own oil once it gets the experience, etc., etc. So that is the intent. But what are the key aspects of the law? The state, it says the state, according to the Constitution, the state owns all the oil and gas and mineral resources of the Philippines. In short, the government owns the gas and oil in the Malampaya field. The government will always be in full control. All exploration, development, and utilization of this natural resource shall be subject to government's full control and supervision. The service contractor must be technically competent. Again, this is, it has to be emphasized and re-emphasized, this requirement by the law. that the service contractor must be technically competent and financially capable to undertake the operations required in the contract. More importantly also, the president, because he thinks that this service contract and exploring and producing for oil in the country is such important undertaking that he approves, the president will approve all service contracts. He wants to know who these companies are, what they will do, how they will do it, and how much money they have. However, as I've said earlier, the government shall reimburse the contractor for all operating expenses, including all exploration and development expenses. And in return, it shall pay the contractor a service fee equivalent to 40% of the net profits from the sale of the gas. Service contractor shall assume all exploration risks, such that if no petroleum in the commercial quantities is discovered and produced, it will not be entitled to reimbursement. That again is another important thing to remember. And lastly, the rights and obligations under a service contract shall not be assigned or transferred without the prior approval of the DOE and the President of the Philippines. I will give you a quick analogy to this. Just think of a franchise. This is a right. The service contract is a right to explore and produce oil, but the franchise is a right to broadcast, for example. If you're given a franchise in this country and you want to sell part of the franchise to another company, you must seek approval from the, in this case, from Congress. Okay, you must make sure that whenever you sell part of it or give certain rights and obligations to a third party, that you must seek approval from the government. In the case of franchise, you ask for permit or approval from Congress. You remember there was a recent case where TB5 of MVP partnered or planned to partner with the ABS-CBN. This was quickly criticized and stopped when they found out that they never asked permission or approval from Congress. That is similar. The principle is similar to a service contract in oil and gas. So let me go straight now to the problem at hand. Sometime in November of 2019, we were waken up. We arose to the news that a certain company by the name of Udena Corporation had acquired Chevron's 45 interest in Malampaya. So this aroused interest and questions in people's mind on who this Udena Corporation all of a sudden coming up and acquiring interest in a major gas field in the Philippines. So we, as a result of this, the Senate saw it fit to hold hearings to make sure that the law is being followed in all these dealings regarding Malampaya. And this is what we found out. We found out that Chevron supposedly conducted a bidding round for its 45% interest in the service contract. The contractor can do that. He can bid it out. He can sell it. He can make an arrangement by which a third party can acquire the interest it has in the service contract. The government does not have anything to do with that activity. No? Hindi siya kasali dun sa paghahanap ng Chevron nung bibili ng interest niya. So whatever at that time when this issue was was in the center of discussion. Secretary Kusi was saying that he's not involved, the government is not involved in this particular process. This is done only by the service contractor looking for the third party to take over its interest. Once it makes a deal, and apparently Chevron made the deal with UC Malampaya, a subsidiary of Chevron, they go to their partners. The partners in this consortium happen to be PNOC-EC and Shell, who is the operator. The joint operating agreement requires Chevron to ask permission or consent from its partners to sell its interest to the third party, in this case UC Malampaya, and ask for their consent or the right or the decision to match the offer of the third party. It so happens that PNOC-EC, which is headed and chairman by Kusi himself, is also a service contractor. So what happened here is that from this level of the partners, when PNOC-EC and Shell did not match the offer by UC Malampaya, the deal went straight into completion. Chevron never brought it down to the DOE to seek approval, formal approval, for the sale of its 45% to UC Malampaya. So that's the problem in this case. No, the Chevron, the service contractor, did not seek prior approval from the DOE to transfer its 45% to UC Malampaya. Now, the procedure on that the government should do whenever this situation happens is, for example, the contractor on the left-hand side, as you can see, is Chevron. Chevron wants to pass on his 45% to an affiliate. In this case, Chevron Malampaya Philippines. Since Chevron itself is qualified and has the money financially, the government usually approves that automatically for the affiliate to represent the contractor in the consortium. However, if the contractor offers to sell it to a third party, the contractor should seek prior approval from the DOE. He should submit the documents for the DOE to evaluate the qualifications of the third party as to its technical and financial strength, and decide whether the third party is qualified or not qualified. If it is qualified, the DOE will in turn evaluate the project itself. In this case, the Malampaya producing field. He will ask his technical people, hey, Mr. Geologist, what is the status of this project? And his technical people will tell him that, sir, it is low risk project. It is already producing. So it is, it satisfies now the requirement of the government to come in and take the interest. So it will take the interest. Instead of the third party, the government will say, we will take it instead of giving it away to a third party. If it's not qualified, if they find out that it's not qualified, then they can either take it back also, or if the project is still high risk in the exploration phase, they can ask the contractor to bid it out again, or the government can rebid it out and look for a qualified third party. In both cases, if the government takes it back, he does not pay anything. He does not reimburse the service contractor anything. Okay? Remember that. Okay. So that is what happens in other countries. For example, recently in 2021, Pertamina of Indonesia, Chevron, the same company that left Malampaya, also left its operations in what the Indonesians call the Rokan Block. So what did the Pertamina, the National Oil Company of Indonesia, do? They took over the operations from Chevron. They did not elect for Chevron to sell it to other people or to assign it to a third party, but they decided they will take it on because the profit and the money they will make is huge. Okay, but this is what normally the National Oil Company should do and will do. And this is the reason why President Ferdinand Marcos at that time formed the Philippine National Oil Company. So as a result of this events, you know, the deal between Chevron and Odena, and after several, I think 4 hearings from the Senate Committee on Energy, three Filipino citizens, 1 Filipino citizen and 2 Philam, decided to file an ombudsman complaint back in October of 2021. The charge was for the violation of sections 3E, J, and I of the Republic Act number 3019 as amended, otherwise known as the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. The respondents were about 33 of them, including Secretary Cusi, Mr. Dennis Uy, the president then of PNOC-EC, Lieutenant General Brigues, and the directors of PNOC-EC, the directors of Udena, Chevron, Shell, and a certain Raul Kisalbash, who was the managing director, owner of UC Malampaya, Philippines. I'm telling you now the actions that were taken after the Senate hearings were completed. After the Senate hearing was completed, the Senate also passed a resolution. The resolution says that, and I'm reading it from letter B, that the DOE did not comply with its circular 2007-040003 in its financial, technical, and legal evaluation of the Chevron Philippines UC Malampaya transaction. So even the hearings concluded that. It also concluded that the DOE officials have violated Section 3J and 3E of Republic Act, which is the same Graft and Corruption Act, and Executive Order 292, series of 1987. And therefore, several DOE officials have been, this resolution was submitted to the Ombudsman for investigation and for the filing of charges against the named DOE officials. After that, there was also a Supreme Court case filed by Mr. Ruben Torres. This Supreme Court case was a petition for certiorari and prohibition in relation to Section 1 of Article 8. Prayer for the issuance of the temporary restraining order or a writ of preliminary injunction against the Chevron Odena deal. In the United States, there were also complaints filed. There is a complaint filed with the United States Security and Exchange Commission. And I will briefly describe to you what that complaint is. based on the findings by the Senate, the complaint states that on March 24 of 2020, Chevron Corporation of California stated in its March 24, 2021 SK filing in the United States before the US SEC that it had completed the sale of the 45% share of the Service Contract 38 for over 500 million received in the first quarter of 2020. However, as the complaint pointed out, as of November 2020 of the same year, in sworn testimony before the Philippine Senate, the DOE stated that it was still in the process of evaluating the financial, technical, and legal capabilities of Udena Corporation. And therefore, the Chevron Corporation of California must have been lying when they said that they have already completed the deal. That's one of the complaints. The other complaint is regarding the payment of the over $500 million that was paid by Udena to Chevron. In that, based again on the testimony during the hearing in the Senate, the president of the PNOC-EC declared that the deal cost $565 million. However, that $565 million consisted of $375 million that was debt financed, $33 million in equity, and $157 million that would be paid from UC Malampaya's revenue stream in the field, meaning that the same money that was supposed to have been owned by Chevron will again be paid back to him. Therefore, in their declaration in their SEC filing, they over-declared the value of the deal by about $165 million. So after all of this, the National Youth Movement in September 8, 2022, sent a letter to BBM, to President BBM, for the nullification of the Chevron sale. And let me read the first paragraph. This is addressed to the President, President Bongbong. Says, greetings, I wish you well. I am writing to you to respectfully submit the attached petition letter to President Marcos Jr. to obligate the Department of Energy to declare the nullification of the transfer of Chevron's 45% participating interest in the Malampaya Service Contract 38 to Udena Corporation, signed by ordinary citizens. There were about 80 signatories here. Again, the National Youth Movement followed this up with a letter to COA, Commission on Audit, asking for a fraud audit of the same deal between Chevron and Udena. So that, these are the efforts. These were the efforts by us, by the National Youth Movement, by the Filipino group in the U.S. to try and recover the profits from Malampaya back to the people of the Philippines. In May 2021, though, there was an announcement that Shell has also sold its stake in Malampaya, that it has sold its 45% to MEXP, which is another unit of Dennis Uй's Udena Corporation. Again, Udena Corporation was able to sign an agreement, a sale agreement with Shell to purchase its participating interest in May of 2021. But in December of 2021, at the end of the fourth hearing of the Senate, PNOC-EC announced that it was withholding its consent to the sale of Shell's 45% to Udena's MEXP. So at that point, again, the National Youth Movement sent a laudable letter to the board of directors of PNOC, applauding their courageous act of not approving and not giving their consent to this unfair and illegal deal. So that agreement sort of died down. No, it disappeared from view, and we thought that it was done, finished, until in July 2021, Prime Infrastructure Capital of Enrique Razon announced that it has bought the MEXP in July 2021. So Razon now owns Udena's Dennis Uй's company MEXP that has a pending agreement, sale agreement with Shell. So we knew what was going on. So immediately, again, the National Youth Movement wrote a letter to the President, BBM, expressing its opposition to the SPEC's Razon deal. This was in August of 2022. And not content with that, we followed up with another letter to the president describing what would happen, if Razon's company acquired the Shell 45%. So these are continuing efforts from the people, to try and either change or recover the interest, or stop the transfer of interest to unqualified companies. But eventually, sometime in October 3, we got the side news that the DOE Secretary Lutilla has approved the sale of SPEC's 45% to Razon's Prime Infrastructure through its subsidiary, the MEXP, which was the old company of Dennis Uy. Okay? So here again, I will show you the what has happened now. So the Chevron 45% was bought by Udena Corporation through its subsidiary UC Malampaya, Philippines. Udena and UC Malampaya are both unqualified, technically, and even financially. No? There is no record that we can find where Udena Corporation nor its subsidiary UC Malampaya had any record of exploration and production of oil and gas in the Philippines or in any other part of the country or of the world. Okay, so the question is, how did an unqualified, technically inexperienced get into be a service contractor. Okay, and that was the reason why the charges, the complaints against the DOE and the UDENA and Chevron were filed in Ombudsman, and the petition to the Supreme Court was filed. Now look at what happened in the Shell. The same thing. Prime Infra bought the company MEXP from UDENA. MEXP had an ongoing deal with the Specs, the Shell affiliate. But Prime Infra, MEXP, any of these companies are again unqualified, you know, to be a service contractor. And I will go straight to saying this is the press release or the statement of the president of Prime Infra when after they have acquired and the operatorship of Malampaya from Shell. Mr. Lucci, the president and CEO of Prime Infrastructure, in this article says, and I quote, "The move to take over Shell interest marked the initial foray of Prime Infra into the exploration and production business or energy market." So they in fact are admitting that this is the first time they will be going into this type of business. So what better proof that there is no experience at all? I showed you that the company that was used by Prime Infra to buy it, MEXP, which is the old UDENA Corporation company, also had no experience. And that's why it was given non-consent by the PNOC-EC earlier. Now, you should give it a thought. Why the government, led by the DOE secretary, who is the chairman of PNOC, would not ask its own company PNOC to take it over? You know, here is the record and the description of PNOC Exploration Corporation. It is the upstream oil, gas, and coal subsidiary of the state-owned Philippine National Oil Company. PNOC-EC was incorporated in 1976. So it has been 46 years old. It is mandated by the government through the DOE to take the lead in exploration, development, and production of the country's oil and gas resources. Its mother company, PNOC, was created in 1973 as a GOCC under President Marcos era in response to the 1970 energy crisis, as I was describing earlier, in order to supply oil to the Philippines. Since then, its charter has been amended several times to include now exploration, exploitation, and development of all energy resources in the country. At present, PNOC has 7 petroleum service contracts in Cagayan Basin, the Malampaya, Mindoro, and the Calamianes in northern Palawan. It is the operator in 3 of those petroleum service contracts and non-operating and partner in 4. PNOC-EC also holds 6 operating contracts, 6 coal operating contracts in the country. So how in the world can a chairman of this kind of a company not, allow it to take over the operator, not to allow the government to take over the operatorship of Malampaya? It has all the experience, and if it needs additional people, it can hire, it can contract, consultants from overseas, experts, etc., to help them run and that's a big question mark. that we're still trying to find an answer to, why the secretary, both Secretary Cusi and Secretary Lutilla have refused or declined to use PNOC, which was created specifically for occasions, for times like this. Okay? So now let me go, before I end, let me remind you of what we lost through these two deals that were made between Chevron and Shell, being taken over by two unqualified, technically unqualified companies. This is what we lost. In 2018, 2019, the equivalent of the 45% of Shell and the 45% of Chevron is over 44 billion pesos 1 year. Okay? This is based on the earnings of the 10% of PNOC. So can you imagine? This is the amount of money that was given away by our government to these two undeserving, unqualified companies. These two should have, this amount should be the one, should have been earned by the government themselves. So by our calculation, if we calculate it from the time of the completion of the deal between Chevron and Udena, if the government had taken over those interests up to now, up to the present, it would have earned approximately $1.6 billion, or at current exchange rate of 54-1, about 87 billion pesos. Now, how much? Think about it. How much is the president asking for his Maharlika fund? $1 billion? This is more than enough. 1.6, And this is the type of money that you can put in a Maharlika fund so that it grows further to help the economy of the people. And again, I've shown the next three slides, which will end my talk, shows you just some ideas of what this amount of money is worth. No, I made some comparison. I studied or checked around for the cost of large commercial fishing ships, as you can see here. These shipping ships, if you buy it in Australia, will cost $130,000 to $250,000, or about 6.5 to 12.5 million pesos. Assuming 50 million pesos a day earnings from Chevron only, from Chevron's 45%, the government could buy from 4 to 8 boats every day, to provide our fishermen with the new effective means of livelihood. We can supply our fishermen with modern boats like this, so they can go out to fish beyond 3-4 kilometers from shore and compete with the big, huge fishing vessels of the Chinese that is fishing beyond 12 or 20 kilometers offshore. Yung mga pump boats natin hindi makarating doon. Kaya kayang bilhin. Isang araw nakita from the Chevron deal, 50 million a day, makakabili ka ng 4 o 8 bangkang ganito. Ito pa, 50 million a day lang. Sa Chevron lang, ha? Hindi ko binibilang kung kinuha natin yung Shell. A hand tractor for our farmers. It costs 40 to 75,000 per piece. The government can buy from 600 to 1,200 hand tractors like this for 1 day profit for 50 million pesos. And we can give each and every one of our farmers one of these so that they can improve their agricultural output. It would have helped the current president as Secretary of Agriculture, and this is one day, only one day. Ito pa, what does 50 million a day or 18 billion a year mean? We can build 360 school buildings, 5 stories high and 25 classrooms each. 360 at 50 million pesos per school building, or 16,000 classrooms. Can you just imagine that? How much this money could have helped the people, could have helped our economy. Nobody is mentioning this. And nobody wants you to know that this is how big that money we are losing to these two companies that our government gave these profits to. I remember the health workers were demonstrating, and because their allowances have not been given. The 5,000 monthly allowance for 118,000 health workers can be paid for 2.5 years. 1 day profit from Malampaya. This is how much the Filipino people are missing out from the riches of Malampaya. That's all I'm saying. Meanwhile, Udena and prime infrastructure of Rason gets the mana through the courtesy of Chevron and Shell and Cusi and Lutilla on the part of government. So I would like to end this presentation here with an announcement that the fight doesn't end. The next decision that the DOE has to make, and we will have to watch out for and fight, is that Lutilla will extend the service contract for Rason for another 15 years. The contract is supposed to terminate next year. Upon termination, the whole contract should revert back to the government without cost to it, 100% back to the government. Now, why will we give it away again for another 15 years? Bakit kami mimigay ulit? Kaya namang gawin ng PNOC. Kaya yun ang I showed you the accomplishments and the nature of PNOC-EC now. I wonder how the employees of PNOC-EC feels if their own chairman, doesn't think that they can do the job of exploration and production themselves when they have been trained for that for 46, 48 years. So with that, I end this presentation and would be ready to accept any questions, Dr. Celia.
Right. Thank you very much, Usec Mañalac, for that excellent presentation and insights. And I know there's some new, of course, participants, and you have explained the history of the Malampaya from the SC38 with Chevron, Udena, and upon Shell to Rason. And now, Sir Ed, thank you again for this kind of presentation. It's very you're trying to refresh us from your presentation more than a year ago, and it's very important for the people to know, and all the participants, our global netizens, to know what is really happening in the Malampaya. Thank you so much. And now, before we will entertain the questions, of course, of our participants in the Zoom room now, and also some, if we have more time, at the FB page. I would like to call our first panelist. Sir Ed, can you, maybe we can, okay, thank you so much for stop sharing. Yes. All right, may we call Honorable Morris Philip Albaida. He's a councilor of the Kalayaan Municipality, of course, in the Calayan Island Group, Palawan in the West Philippine Sea, and the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea National Chairperson and Expo Person. Joining us live from Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, let's welcome Honorable Maurice Philip Alexis Albaida. Good evening, Sir MP. We call him Sir MP for short. All right, so
Yes, good evening po, Doc. Good evening, global netizens. And of course, to our guest speaker, our very own Usec Eduardo Manala. Sir, that was a very, very
Good
extensive,
evening.
uh, extensive, if there's more than extensive, lecture and presentation about Malampaya and how it is significant to our country today. So, if I may proceed with my question, Doc.
MP, yes.
Yes po. I am quite interested about the ways forward of the cases that has been that have been filed in the ombudsman last October 2019. What are the ways forward of those? And also, I could remember about the Senate resolution about the Chevron and Udena deal that was filed and led by Senator Gatchalian at the ombudsman last year. I'm quite curious what are the ways forward of these cases.
Right. Although it's been some time now, the filing of the ombudsman complaint, no, by the three citizens, is still in the preliminary investigation stage. So it's in the in in the stage where ombudsman is trying to figure out whether there is a probable cause or probable case to be brought up to the Sandigan Bayan. So that's where we are. It takes a little time because, as I mentioned earlier, there are 33 respondents, and so the process takes a little long. The respondents have to file their counter affidavits, and then the complainants will have to answer back, and the ombudsman will have to evaluate each and every document they get. So I can understand why the ombudsman, although it's been over a year, way over a year, has taken time to make its decision. So hopefully soon, once they get all the information they need, that they will make some final decision as to whether to take it up to the Sandigan Bayan or trash it. And I hope we feel strongly that we have a strong case, that there is a strong case as we have looked at the complaint itself. We feel confident that there is a strong case that can be brought up to the Sandigan Bayan for a proper hearing.
We are looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Usec Manala. And to introduce to you our next panelist, now joining us live from the Villamor Air Base, Pasay City, is a video content editor and creator and assistant multimedia officer of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. Let me introduce to you Miss Maria Villa Clarissa Tagat. I think nakamute si Maria.
Oh, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Miss Mia.
Good
Your
evening
question?
po, Sir Auntie. Yes. Hello po. Good evening po, Sir. Usec Eduardo V. Mañalac.
Good evening.
Here's my yes po. Here's my question po. In your opinion, why did Chevron and Shell left the consortium in Malampaya?
Okay. I can just conjecture, no, why? Because it's a good question, because normally from my experience,
Sorry po.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of consortium?
the consortium is the group of service contractors that are the contractors in the service contract. And this consortium consists of PNOC with 10%, Chevron with 45%, and Shell with 45%. No?
Para pong shares?
Yes.
Oh, all right po.
Okay. So, ano yung tanong?
Ito po. In your opinion, why did Chevron
Why did
and
they
Shell left the consortium in Malampaya?
Yeah, as I've said, we can only conjecture, the reason why they decided to leave the or relinquish their rights and obligations and sell their 45%. Is that for years and years, they have been asking or requesting the DOE for an extension of the contract, because they know the contract ends in 2024, but they know that there might still be additional reserves, close by that can be produced and to lengthen, to prolong the life of the infrastructure of the platform and the pipeline to Batangas para magamit pa, Kasi nauubos na yung Malampaya sabi nila, nauubos na. So pag naubos yon, wala na. Kaya para bago maubos, maghahanap pa sila ng panibagong reserves, etc., etc. So they've been asking for an extension, and the DOE either saying it's still too early to discuss extension, etc., etc. But sometime in September 2019, the DOE Secretary Cusi categorically said that he will not extend the service contract beyond 2024. So nung nadinig siguro nung Chevron na hindi na pala i-extend yung kontrata namin beyond 2024. At meron palang nag-o-offer sa akin ng pera para bayaran ako. Kukunin ko na lang ito. Bayaran mo na lang ako. Aalis na ako. Total, hindi mo naman i-extend. May makukuha pa akong pera equivalent to kung ano yung makukuha ko siguro for the rest of the year. Kasi nangyari ito 2020. Di alis na lang. Now, when Shell saw that, na pwede pala yun. Di sabi ng Shell, gusto ko na rin. Yun. Yun ang hula ko, That's my analysis of based on the events that transpired.
Thank you so much for that. And that's
May
nearly
tanong pa.
yes,
Sir
May
Usec,
follow-up.
can I add a question po?
Oo. Sige.
Paano hindi po nag-extend po beyond 2024?
Correct. Kasi usually, kung yung ibang, kung mabuti naman yung serbisyo mo ng Chevron at Shell, at ikaw naman sinabi mo kaya hindi, sabi daw hindi pa kaya ng PNOC di ba? Kaya hindi pina-take over. So dapat tinuloy, ibinigay dun sa experienced companies. Sige, ituloy natin ang kontrata. Let's continue the contract, extend it, so that we can find additional reserves. Kayo yung mga eksperto, you have the technical experience para humaba ang buhay ng Malampaya at more gas para sa Pilipinas. Pero hindi kasi ang sinasabi nga ng Senado after is may ibang balak.
Alright. Thank you so much po, Sir Usec. Eduardo V.
Ayan.
Mañalac po.
Salamat.
Have a great evening po.
Thank you,
Thank you
Miss
so
Via,
much.
for that question. And that's
Salamat din
some
po.
point of an
Thank you,
eye-opening question. So, since we were talking about the consortium, how did Razon's Infra acquire Shell Exploration or SPEX in Malampaya, if considering if they have technical, financial, and legal qualifications to be a contractor in Malampaya?
Right. Yeah, if you remember the what do you call this? The diagram I showed, no?
Yes.
What happened is that another Udena corporation, MEXP, no, also made an agreement with Shell to buy Shells. After they bought Chevron, Udena formed another subsidiary called MEXP para bilhin naman yung Shell. Okay? Kaya nga I said earlier na nung nakita ng Shell, uy, pwede pala yun, aalis na lang ako at babayaran ako. Bibilin sa akin. O ako na rin, bilhin nyo na rin ako. That Udena formed another subsidiary called MEXP. Kaya lang, that agreement in the course of being, seeking approval and consent from the consortium members, for one reason or another, PNOC-EC finally withheld its consent, no? In the last minute, na hindi, ayaw niya pumayag, So naudlot, natigil yung deal, no?
Nabuko.
So that was December of 2021. Naudlot, nawala sa view natin, nawala sa isipan natin, biglang sumulpot nung July of 2022 nung i-announce ni Razon na binili niya yung MEXP ni Udena. Ha? O bakit naman bibilhin yun? Wala namang ang ari lang nun ay yung agreement with Shell, no? So yun ang tinuloy. This time under na ni Razon.
Razon,
okay?
Yes.
So kaya nga pinakikita ko, kahit yung kumpanya ni Razon ay wala ring technical capacity, wala ring qualification. Na sinabi mismo nung presidente nila when he said na ito yung una nilang negosyo sa langis at gas. So saan kayo nakakuha ng eksperyensya na kinakailangan, sabi ng batas, kailangan technically experienced ka, no? So saan, yun ang sinasabi kong magiging po natin na aabangan, paano justify, how did the DOE Secretary justify the qualifications, the technical qualifications of MEXP or the mother company now, which is Prime Infrastructure. Doon sa
That's
Chevron,
something that, yes.
doon sa Chevron na Udena, alam natin wala talaga eh. Kaya nga hindi na pinadaan ni Pusi sa evaluation kasi alam niya babagsak eh. Sinabi niya, sige na, tuloy niyo na. Hindi na kailangan yung prior approval ng gobyerno, no? Ayun, yun ang illegality doon. In the case of Razon, the DOE through Lutilia did its process, went through the process of evaluating. So ngayon, ang kailangan natin makita, ang resulta, ano yung resulta ng evaluation mo? Paano mo pinakita yung experience niyan? Yun ang gusto natin makita ngayon. No? Kaya, yun ang rini-research ng National Youth Movement.
And that's the
Yes,
reason why we send a petition to COA for a fraud audit of the transfer of Chevron to Odena, as well as from Shell to Odena Corporation. So that's it. All right. Okay.
That's something that we should look after. Yes, Doc.
Yes, right. And that's very important. So thank you so much. Okay, Sir MP, thank you so much, Usec Mañalac. And we are going to our next panelist. Is, of course, he's been our host from the very beginning. And by the way, he's also our tech support, the senior high school student, and the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, Ilocos Chapter Chairperson. Let's all welcome Sir Angelo Pedro, live from Lawag City, Ilocos Norte.
Good evening po.
Good evening, Sir Angelo. All right.
Good evening, Usec Mañalac. This
Good
talk is really very interesting because Filipinos maraming nami-miss out na informations regarding this Malampaya. And my question is, did PNOC-EC and Department of Energy comply with the Presidential Decree number 87 in approving the deal of Resons Infra in acquiring Shell in Malampaya? And if no, bakit po?
Right. Actually, pag naintindihan, if you understand the process, no? PNOC-EC in this case is just another service contractor. Kontratista din siya, kasama siya ng Chevron at Shell. No? Actually, wala siyang karapatan. He has no right, he has no power to approve or disapprove the deal. You know? That authority resides in the DOE, in the government. You know? Kaya yung sinasabi ni ang papel lang nung consortium, sila nag-uusap. They have an agreement among themselves that if one wants to leave the consortium or sell to another third party, whatever deal they make with the third party, they will offer to the existing partners at the same terms. You know, they will give them the chance to match para makuha na nila at walang ibang makapasok. Total, yung dalawang partner ay nando na at kaibigan na sila, kilala na nila, qualified naman. So, they're just giving a chance for them to match the offer. And if they will not match it, they're asking them to formally give its consent for the, in this case, Chevron, to transfer its 45% to the buyer, which is Odena. Yun lang ang papel ng PNOC-EC dyan. As just another service contractor. Ang nangyari lang, chairman din si Kusi nung PNOC-EC. And at the same time, secretary siya of DOE. Kaya he is acting as chairman sa PNOC as a service contractor din. Wala siyang karapatan magsabi, okay na, approve na yan, pumunta ka na, ituloy nyo na. As chairman of PNOC-EC, kailangan dalhin sa kanya sa ibaba sa DOE at tumingin ng approval yung Chevron. Did I explain that properly?
Opo.
I think that those are very
so,
good questions.
May conflict of interest po na nangyari doon.
Right.
Yes.
Do you think po? Meron.
Correct. Conflict of interest at
and
ginamit yung isang interest to
Opo,
the advantage of one company.
I see. And do you think po hindi nagkaroon ng common sense yung mga agencies involved in terms of the deals um sa Malampaya, in acquiring Malampaya? Like just common sense for the unqualified companies. Kasi it was mentioned in the um PD po, 'di ba, na it must be companies that is very technical or very deserving na
Yeah.
mag-acquire ng Malampaya. So, my question po is wala po bang nangyaring common sense dun sa pag-acquire sa Malampaya po?
Tama yung mga tanong. Tama yung tanong mo. Kaya lang, and ang sagot, dapat may common sense, di ba?
Opo.
It must be there. You know, klaro naman ang batas, kung ano ang sinasaad sa batas, at kung ano ang gustong mangyari ng batas. You know? Pero kung hindi nga yung masyadong truthful to his job or to yun ang sinasabi natin na medyo nadihado ang taong bayan dahil sa hindi tamang gawa.
Yes.
Tama po.
Alright.
Thank you po. Thank you po Usec
Wow,
Mañalac.
that was a
And
that was a
Salamat
sensible
po.
question. Thank you, Sir Angelo.
Yes,
thank
very
you
good.
Councilor.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Very good
Thank
question.
Yes.
Sir
Thank you po.
Angelo.
Yes.
Our youth from
And
Lawag City. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
and
So go ahead, Sir MP.
yes po, Doc, we have here joining us live from Former City, Palawan, Philippines. Is a mechanical engineer and a faculty of Palawan Polytechnic College Incorporated, and the outreach coordinator of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, Palawan chapter. Our next panelist is none other than Engineer Joselito Jet Latorre. Sir Jet.
Good evening. Thank you, Sir MP. Good evening po, Usec Ed, Mañalac.
Uy, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, napakaganda po ng presentation nyo. Although yung iba narinig ko nung nakaraan na ano nyo. So my question maybe it may sound redundant po, no? Kasi some of the answers have been mentioned already a while ago. Pero mas gusto ko lang pang ma-highlights pa para lalong
Sige.
ma-emphasize. Ano?
Tama.
Ito po. What is the difference of Chevron-Odena deal from SPEX or SPEX resin deal? And as part of the PD87, the DOE and the Philippine President should have approval on these deals. I understand, sir, that with the Chevron-Odena deal, there was no approval of the DOE nor the President during the Duterte administration.
Correct.
Am I right po? So how about this Shell and Resource Infra deal? Was this
Correct.
approved by the DOE and President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. po?
Correct. Okay, another good question. Excellent observation. So that is the big difference between the two deals. No, one did not seek prior approval from the authorities, from the DOE, from the government. Talagang sinadya na wag nang padaanin doon towards completion of the deal. For one reason or another, sinabi ko kanina kung ano ang suspicion ko why it did not do that. So palagay ko nakita on this rason deal, nakita yun ng DOE, no? Remember, let me mention here and remind everybody, if you had missed it, that Secretary Lutilla even got two Supreme Court justices, Panganiban and Puno. And he says that he got these two justices to advise him, on the proper thing, the proper process to do. Okay? If you remember that. He also said that he will take leave from as chairmanship of PNOC-EC, no? During the deliberation of PNOC-EC as to whether PNOC-EC as a service contractor wants to match the offer by MEXP to Shell or not, no? Hindi daw siya sasali dun sa decision na yon para to show it's a good faith decision and good faith, clean of influence or anything, which is a good thing, no? I think that those were good steps done by the secretary. However, so they went through this process, they evaluated, and they approved. So ang tanong naman, babalik ulit, okay, ginawa mo nga yung proseso, pero paano mo ngayon in-evaluate yung technical capacity ulit? we boil down to that issue, yung technical qualification, no? Nasaan yun? Sinabi mismo nung presidente nila, yung yung presidente ng Prime, na ito yung una nila, ito yung pinakauna nilang proyekto sa exploration and production. Kaya nga kino-compare ko, I'm comparing them to the experience of PNOC-EC na for 46 years have been exploring and producing gas and oil sa nasyon. Yun ang pinagtataka, yun ang gusto kong makita, yun ang gusto kong malaman. No?
Okay.
At ginawa yung proseso, outwardly, nag-evaluate ko, no? Sinunod yung circular ng DOE on how to evaluate. So I want to see, bigyan mo nga po ng listahan kung ano na yung experience niyan.
Kaya ako. If may add, Usec po, kasi naalala ko tuloy, sometimes kasi inaano ko sa mga estudyante ko, sa lecture ko sa mga. Kaya isang naalala ko sa question ng tanong ng aking estudyante. Pwede ko pa, nasabi niyo po, at malimit naririnig na ang Malampaya ay paubos na ang Malampaya gas. So kung paubos ito, how long it's gonna be? Because I still lahat po kasi mga estudyante ko, and even me, we are wondering, kung paubos na, how come si Udena, and even si Razon now, ay nagka-interest pa rin para kunin ito.
Right.
Kasi,
right.
Di ba po, ang Malampaya gas is from the crude oil underneath the earth, di ba? Sa several kilometers underneath the earth, itong gas is just yung nagiging vapor because of the pressure and high temperature sa ilalim ng pa. So, kung paubos na, how come na interesado pa rin itong grupo niya, at nag-interest ito si Rason din.
Correct. Very, these are very good questions, and that will give light, to many aspects of the deal. Let me explain what depletion means. Madalas natin marinig ngayon yan, na Malampaya is depleting, mauubos na, no? And that is now being used na mauubos na, kaya kailangan i-extend natin yung kontrata, no? Yun ngayon ang favorite words ngayon to na palagay ko ay magagamit na naman sa atin, kaya bakit in-extend yan? Ikaw ang nagsabi nun, hindi ako.
Kasi kami mga student namin sa Petroleum.
Anyway, ang depletion na ganito, no? Pag sinabing depleted na ang field, hindi ibig sabihin nun ay ubos na yung gas sa ilalim. Ang ibig lang sabihin nun ay yung rate of production, kung ilang yung gas na nailalabas nila, dahil ang pressure, ang formation pressure sa ilalim nung reservoir, habang pinuproduce mo yung gas, ay bumababa. Nawawalan ng pressure ang bato. to push the gas upwards, no? So bumababa yung, kumbaga before, nagpo-produce ka 1,000 barrels or 2,000 barrels. By the end of the, yung bandang huli na, siguro kalahati na lang yan, no? But the meaning of depletion is that your rate of production, the value of what you are producing, is now less than the operating cost and maintenance cost of the facility. So pag inabot mo yung time na yon, no? Then bakit ka pa magpo-produce? Palugi pa, kulang na yung hindi na magkakasya pambayad na operation ko to. So titigil ka. Di ba? At that point, yun ang sinasabing tigil na, depleted. Economically, yung economic threshold narating na, no? Economic. Ibig sabihin, may natitira pa sa ilalim, hindi lang So ang dapat gagawin ngayon ng companies, kung ang PNOC or kung sino man ang nandyan, is one, handling the same reserves, is find ways, technical ways, to na mapaakyat ulit yung pressure ng formation para umakyat yung production. Meron hong mga technology dyan na ginagamit, no? Pero very complicated and very, lalo na itong Malampaya, ay nasa 800 meters deep, halong 1 kilometrong lalim ng tubig bago umarating yung bottom ng tubig pa lang, yung bato. Talagang grabing technology ang kailangan mo para magawa yan. Ang gagawin ngayon yan, kukuha lang ng mga consultants, no? Kung ganun lang naman ang gagawin, ba't hindi magawa ng PNOC? Ganun lang pala ang gagawin mo . Talaga naman dati kumukuha ng mga consultant din yan . You know? O kaya nga anong palusot? Bakit hindi nasabi ko na rin pati yung palusot. Bakit hindi ginamit ang PNOC?
Tama po. Thank you, Usec. Salamat po.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Jet, and thank you, Usec, for that wonderful response. And our next panelist tonight is coming from San Carlos City, Pangasinan. Joining us live from San Carlos City is Miss April Senting, an employee of San Carlos City LGU, and she is the chairperson of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea Pangasinan chapter. Good evening, Ma'am April.
Hi, good evening,
Good
Dr. Lampkin and Usec Mañalac.
Good evening.
My question is, what should have been the right and moral actions of PNOC-EC and Department of Energy with regards to Malampaya? Does PNOC have the authority to buy the shares of Chevron and Shell so that the Philippine government will have 100% profits instead of the 10%, and the 100 million pesos a day that go to Odena and Rason will benefit the Filipino people?
Correct. Exactly. And that's what we are fighting for. No? Na dapat nga when the deal, when Chevron said, I want to leave the contract and I have here a third party who wants to buy it, I offer you the right to match. Ang tanong, bakit hindi kinuha ni PNOC, no? Pareho nga, kaya nga ginawang chairman ang secretary ng DOE, chairman din ng PNOC-EC. That's why, there's a specific reason for that. And that is to make sure that the interest of the government is protected, no? Na you are both represented as a consortium member, as a service contractor, and as the government who approves, the transfer of shares of the interest, no? So kontrolado mo pareho, no? So you have all the the facility to make the decision as to whether you want to take it or not, no? Pero hindi ginamit yun eh, you know. In one case, yung sa Chevron Odena, hindi ginamit. Hindi dinala yung formal request for approval from PNO. Let's say, inoffer sa'yo PNOC. Dapat ang ginawa ng PNOC, nagpunta kaagad sa DOE. Boss niya ang DOE eh. DOE ang may-ari sa kanya, no? Dapat nagpunta siya sa may-ari at tinanong, boss, mayroon ditong offer na makakakuha tayo ng additional 45%. Pero ang presyo ay ganito. Ang sasabihin ng boss niya, which is the same chairman and secretary of, ang sasabihin ng boss niya is, sige, dalhin mo sa akin. Sabihin mo, dalhin sa akin at pag-aaralan natin. Kung maganda yung deal, sasabihin nung DOE, kukunin na lang namin, umalis ka na, service contractor, at hindi ka naman kailangan bayaran. You see? Hindi kailangan magbayad si PNOC. You know? Pupunta lang siya sa gobyerno dahil ang gobyerno may-ari. No? You see what, ang problema, hindi dinala sa DOE. Hanggang dun lang sa PNOC na wala namang, he has no right, no, to make a decision whether to take the for the government to take the interest or not. Okay? Na klaro ba 'yon? Kasi that's a good question eh. Do not confuse the role of PNOC and DOE. No? Hello?
Yes,
Can
sir.
Can you still hear me? Nawala yung pan eh.
Yes, Usec, we can hear you po.
Yeah. You know, we must be able to understand the differentiation. PNOC is just another service contractor. They are at the same level as Chevron and Shell. No? Ang boss, the boss of the owner of PNOC is the DOE, is the government. No? So the government will make the decision for its, you know, for its company. Pag dinala ni Chevron sa DOE, sir, aalis na ho ako. Sasabihin lang ni DOE, kung gusto niya nang kukunin ko na ho ito, kukunin ko na Chevron. Pwede ka nang umalis. Pagkakuha ni DOE, ibibigay niya ngayon kay PNOC, na kumpanya niya, o ikaw magpatakbo niyan. Na-gets mo? Hello?
Thank you, Usec.
Thank you po.
So,
Nawala
lumalalim na po ang ating mga katanungan, ano ho?
Oo nga.
Eh,
Medyo,
And yes, thank you, Miss April. Following that question, Usec, do you think that the energy security issue in Malampaya can become a national security issue in the near future? How and why?
ang na to, you know, nasa baka kailangan na iikwan natin kay Dr. Clarita. Anyway, ganito ang tingin ko, no. This is how I see it. As we've said, you know, the Malampaya gas fuels about 3,500 megawatts of power plant capacity. So importante yan na maproteksyonan at to lengthen, to prolong the life of the field, you know, to get as much reserve out, you know, as much as possible, which will take a high degree of technical experience and knowledge. Now, in terms of, shall we say, not energy security, but you see, the oil industry is a very small industry. Everybody knows what everybody is doing. Madaling malaman kung ano yung ginagawa ng isa, kung anong nangyayari sa isang country, kung anong policies, kung ano ang so itong what happened here with Malampaya will be known to to everybody in the industry, especially by China. Malalaman nila yan. Alam nila kung ano nangyari. So you can imagine, and they know what a service contract means, and how it should be implemented, because China will take over a field from a service contractor once he indicates that he wants to leave. No? Ngayon, nakita ng China yan. If you remember, nagpunta si Marcos, si BBM sa China recently. Di ba? And he told Xi Jinping na no, we will not allow, West Philippine Sea to be lost from us. We will fight for it, to be able to get the resources from it. We will make sure that the Filipino people gets the benefit. No, we will fight for West Philippine Sea. Tatingin nyo ba, in your mind, when President Xi hears that from our president, and he knows what happened in Malampaya, in his mind, ang iniisip niya, how can the Philippines tell me that he is ready to fight for West Philippine Sea, for the conflicted area, at lalaban daw siya, when in Malampaya na kanila na, it's yours. We're not claiming that. China is not claiming that. It is yours. Pinamigay mo pa. Sa'yo na, pinamigay mo pa. Then how can you face me and tell me na lalaban ka sa West Philippines na paglalaban mo yan? Yung iyo na hindi mo pinaglaban at pinamigay mo pa. That will be the effect pag-usap natin sa China about joint development or exploring in the West Philippine Sea. Hindi, wala kang credibility na sinasabi mong, hindi, paglalaban namin yan. Yung sa'yo na, Malampaya is yours So, pinamigay mo pa sa mga kaibigan mo. Hindi sa tao mo. So, paano mo sasabihin sa akin na ipaglalaban mo ang West Philippine Sea? Yun ang epekto, that's the effect on the international politics in the foreign relations.
Right.
Malaki ang epekto niyan.
I
Thank you.
absolutely agree with your explanation, Usec Mañalac. Tama po. So, all right. So, maraming salamat po, Sir Ed, Usec Mañalac. We have our next panelist, no? I think we just have 2 more panelists, and then we will open the floor for our participants to ask questions. You can raise your hand, and we will be reading your questions and comments at the chat. Please raise your hand so we can promote you as a panelist po. All right. So now let's call now Miss Norm Silvestre. She's a registered nurse working at Munich, Germany. And of course, she's one of the original, I would say, one of the founding members of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea since 2015. And she is the Global Secretariat. And presently, of course, she's in Makati City having her vacation. Let's all welcome Miss Norm Silvestre. Good evening, Ma'am Norms.
Hello, good evening, Doctor. Thank you for the wonderful background that you mentioned. And good evening, Secretary Mañalac, and
Good evening
to
po.
all the guests and participants of this online session about Malampaya. So my question is, I just want to share, I just had my dinner at BGC at Restaurant's Restaurant. I eat palabok, and I love palabok because I miss palabok and the halo-halo. Is the restaurant's owner, the restaurant is also the owner of this, the Malampaya? Is he also the owner?
Very good.
Yes.
Yes. Magaling siya sa restaurant, but I don't think with the oil exploration. So my question is, last year, there were film complainants from the US who filed a case against Chevron USA at the US Securities Exchange Commission, SEC.
Yes.
What were the grounds for filing such case at US SEC? What are the importance and updates of this case?
Right.
Thank
I just described very briefly the basis of the SEC filing, no, in the US. Well, to be frank, one of the reasons why we wanted to voice it out in one form or another in the US side is because Chevron is based in California, no? And we want to somehow put some pressure on him on Chevron then to possibly think about because the filing in the SEC, if it pushes through, will affect the reputation, the corporate reputation of Chevron, and which we thought every corporation protects, the reputation. So, and that's the primary reason why they filed those complaints in the SEC, and the basis is varied there. One of the basis is the fact that either the Philippine side is lying or Chevron is lying, because Chevron in its SK filing with SEC stated, and this is also seen in their annual report of 2020, that they completed the sale of their 45% interest to Udena in March of 2020, no? But during the hearing, Senate hearing, Committee Energy Senate Committee hearing in the Philippines in November, which is about 6 months or 7 months later of the announced completion of the deal by Udena, DOE said in the hearing that no, it has not been completed yet as far as they're concerned, and that it is still a voidable, a cancelable agreement. So yun, sino ang nagsasabi ng totoo ngayon? No? Sabi ni Chevron dun sa California na hindi, tapos na, nagkabayaran na eh. On the other hand, DOE, upon questioning by the senator, said, no, not done yet. We're still evaluating it, and it's still voidable. So that's one issue that the American, the Filipino, the US wanted to bring to the attention of the SEC. Baka that Chevron might have lied in their declarations in their SEC filings. The other one is about the pricing of the sale. The Chevron filed that the sales, they received $565 million now from Udena. But it turns out, again, from the hearings, Senate hearings, is that about 160 million of that came from the profit shares of Chevron itself. 6 months profit daw ni Chevron binigay kay Udena para ibayad din sa kanya. So ang ibig sabihin, he really did not get 565 million, but 565 million less the money that you should have earned anyway. So that again is another misfiling to the SEC, and that is those are the two main points of the filing. But the intent is to bring the case of Chevron and its thought of actions, illegal actions in the Philippines to the attention in the US side. Gusto lang nilang madala yung to get the attention of Chevron, in the US side. Did that answer
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
wonderful. Thank you for your answer. Thank
Opo.
you.
Thank you so much, Usec
Ho-
Mañalac.
Hopefully SEC does something about it, It's been over a year now since it was filed and wala kami nadinig. So we're bringing it to the attention of higher government officials to take note and sort of talk to SEC to speed up the process.
Apo, that's
Sige
right.
po.
Thank you so much, Usec Mañalac and Ma'am Norms. Thank you. Okay, Sir NP, I think we are
Okay,
going to call our last panelist, of course, not the least. Okay, go ahead, Sir MP.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. Joining us live from San Francisco, California, USA, is Engineer Rad Abarrientos, an aeronautical engineer, licensed flight operations officer, aircraft dispatcher of the Philippines and US in the airline industry for 18 years. He is also a licensed general building contractor in California and the state chairperson of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, California, USA chapter. Giving you the Engineer Rad Abarrientos.
Good evening, Engineer.
Good
Right.
evening. Good morning here in California right now. It's
Oh, yeah.
about 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Sir MP. And of course, good evening to you, Usec Mañalac. I'm so excited about what what we are discussing here. And of course, pinag-uusapan natin yung pressure ng gas ng Malampaya. Sana yun ang tumaas ang pressure, pero yung blood pressure ko tumataas sa pinag-uusapan natin. Anyway, we've been discussing this for a long time now. So, of course, I'm always part of that discussion. And of course, Dr. Celia here. And of course, so marami akong tanong, pero I have to be specific with my question here right now. So maybe,
Sige.
kumusta ka pala, Usec Mañalac?
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, para hindi na tayo tumagal, so I'll be,
Sige.
babasahin ko na lang itong pinrepare natin. With all these deals with Chevron and Udena, Shell and Razon's Infra, can President Marcos Jr. nullify all these deals without passing through the Supreme Court of the Philippines? Why should the Philippine government do, or what should the Philippine government could do and an ordinary Filipino citizens? Ano bang pwede?
Yun ang actually that's a more like a legal question. And in fact, there is already a case that was filed by Mr. Ruben Torres with the Supreme Court, for a petition for what do they call it, certiorari,
Yeah.
So I think, let me put it this way. It has been a long time, almost over 2 years since the ombudsman complaint was actually filed. Now it has come to the point now, dalawa ng presidente ang dinaanan. It has, President Duterte and now President Bongbong. And and that's what most people I talk to saying, that they have already, in their mind said, hey, let's all try na lang to help the current president succeed, di ba? You know, after all, the election's finished, you know, let's see, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, no? And help him, because that will eventually help the people. So with all this happening, you know, let's set aside Chevron Odena, kasi it happened before his time, before the President Bongbong's time. Let's talk about the Rason thing. As I explained to you, and you start understanding the law and what the law meant to achieve, you know, and having heard that and having understood it, then you would know how to decide things like, you know, these deals, di ba, of Rason and Shell. The question is, does the president, the current president now, President Bongbong, understand his father's law and understand what he meant to achieve with it, which was successful. You know, the Malampaya was a result of the law of his father. But does he really understand what it means and what it means to the country if it succeeds? At naintindihan niya ba yung batas at kung paano pa iiralin yan? Dahil kung naintindihan niya ba na kung tama o mali yung desisyon tungkol kay Rason? If he does understand it and he allows Rason's deal to continue, then alam na natin. Di ba? We would know where he stands in terms of, you know, economic progress for the people, Maharlika Fund, etc., etc. Here it is, very clear. You know, the money is there for the taking. By law, you have all the right for government to take it back. And yet you did not. You understood what the law is, but you did not take it and decided to leave it alone, let your friend, you know, get the mana. Then we would know. As far back, I think in the second to the last webinar that I attended here, I already said at the time that the Malampaya will be the litmus test of the honesty and the integrity and the real intent of President Bongbong Marcos for our country. I said that. Kung ano ang magiging desisyon niya dito sa Malampaya dahil dadating sa punto na ganito, malalaman natin. So that's how I would leave this presentation. That I would like to know whether the president knows and understands the law, and having understood it, what would he do regarding what seems to be a completed, or what is a completed deal now with Rason, who we are saying is technically unqualified to be a service contractor and therefore is violative of the law that your dad created. What will you do about it? If he lets it go and say, hey, you know, then we know it's not hindi sincere, hindi, you know, hindi tama. Okay? That to me is my next, you know, I hope I can get to that point na malaman na natin kung talaga bang naintindihan niya, o kung hindi naman niya naintindihan, sabihin na hindi naintindihan at intindihin. No? So we need somebody to get up there to him who understands this deal and explain it to him. We need to know that there's somebody that can explain it properly to him, and let's see what his decision will be.
All right.
Yes, Usec Mañalac, parang ang analogy ko dyan if everybody remembers Gina Lopez, who is, you know, a very honest and good person who basically acting for the interests of the people of the Philippines, but was not appointed to become, confirmed as Secretary of the NNR, as you
Right.
know. Yeah. So, like to your point, yung sinabi mo kanina, alam ba ni Presidente itong nangyayari na ito?
Mhm.
So, because meron tayong mga crook people in the government shielding the president of the correct information, kaya yung sinasabi mong alam ba ni Presidente ito? So kailangan siguro matulungan natin si Presidente, because I myself, I'm for, sana matulungan natin si Presidente dahil legacy
Right.
ni Marcos Sr. ito, ng tatay niya.
Yeah, correct.
Oo. So,
And I think the effort here by the webinar by the National Youth Movement to disseminate the information and make as many people understand what happened, what the deal is, what the law is, so that whatever, kung tama ang desisyon ultimately ni Presidente Bongbong, then masisiyahan naman siya dahil madaming taong masasaya at naintindihan nito, na that's why I think webinars like this is very important to spread the knowledge and the expertise in this case, to as many people as possible.
at sana marinig ka ni Presidente, Usec Mañalac.
Sana nga.
Pararatingin natin, of course, yung ating FB page naman is public. Maybe we can share the link of this webinar and we can send to the Office of the President, right? So,
yeah, hopefully.
Right.
Yes.
So, hopefully. All right, maraming
Okay.
salamat. Engineer Rad, of course, good morning sa iyo dyan. And I think
Thank you.
that will end for the panelists. Pero of course, Usec Mañalac, I hope you
Yes.
don't mind. Magkakaroon po tayo ng extension and to all our Zoom participants kasi it's 10 already. Is it okay if we can have another 15 minutes extension? Kasi meron pong tanong yung ating mga Zoom participants, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
all right. So, I think there's somebody who raised the hand, Sir MP. Can we, Sir, Mr. Paulo Asidera, can you please turn on your video and
Yes, ma'am.
and
Wait
you
one.
will be promoted. And please accept the promotion to as a panelist, so you can be all right, Sir. Sir
where
Angelo,
is
could you
it?
please promote? All right, all right.
Okay, can you see me? Can you see me?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yes.
I'm not a sir. Good evening. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm transmitting from St. John's, Florida. Glad to see you again, former Undersecretary. Last time we saw each other was at the wedding.
Yes.
And I went home for the 100 what do you call this, Centennial Homecoming UP Vanguard. He's also my kuya, a senior fraternity brother in the Alpha Phi Omega Eta chapter in
Yes.
Diliman.
I
Before
didn't know
anything
you're
else,
back in Florida now.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm back in Florida. I'm retired 21 years, Navy. A retired Security Force Protection Anti-Terrorism Officer, United States Navy, based in Com7 Fleet. I'm not retired. I'm not retired, but I'm with the Department of Defense. Sir,
Yes.
my before anything else, I grew up in Nicol Survey. So Tagal, the earlier member was a Miss Villa Tagal. I don't know if his dad, her dad is Caruso, former flying school.
Yes, actually, Mr. Asidera, Captain Caruso Mario Antonio Tagal is the Director of Membership of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea.
Si Kuya Toto.
Via Clarissa is the daughter of Captain Tagal.
Okay, si Kuya Toto. I frequent...
Toti.
Yeah. Toti, si
Small-
Toti.
Toti.
Yes.
Yes.
Toti sa inyo, sa amin, Toto, matangkad yan, si
Okay.
Caruso. His brother is my classmate. But anyway, for former fellow scout ranger in the Philippines. Anyway, sir, sir, without much further ado, sir, I would like to comment based on your representation of the acquisition by Udenma and then by Shell, and then the it's not yet done because you don't have funds, knowing that Udena doesn't, or at that time didn't have the money to buy whatever that 45%. I think what I wrote here is I think it is also a crime of money laundering, given the fact how monies were used and misrepresented their ownership. It was a fraudulent scheme that was carefully studied and executed in a sloppy manner, thinking everybody else around these organized crime syndicates would not be intelligent enough to unmask this sinister scheme. So, would you respectfully comment on that, sir?
Yes, yes. Actually, it's not a new, shall we say, idea, no? That it could be, you know.
There could be.
There could be some, you know, some reason to believe that there might be some laundering. But the further investigation of the companies created by this group from Udena, no? Actually, its director is a and he is also charged, no, in the complaint by the name of Rauf Hisalba. But it's interesting to note that there were 3 other Udena companies. One is based in Hong Kong, which is a trust fund, a trust company, no, which has some of the money. So somebody mentioned, hey, you know, a trust fund is usually put up when you're trying to hide money. And
correct.
It being Hong Kong, it's just a border away from you know who. So that's what you know, got the attention of some people here who are studying that. But there are some guys who are who has that thinking, Brad, na baka merong involved na laundering dito. Kasi nga the way it was described, you know, earlier I described that there is about $160 million that seems to be unaccounted for, you know. You know, it has to be looked at. Hopefully nga makarating yung complaint sa Sandigan Bayan and a lot more, you know, na maimbestiga ng tama, ng gusto. So that's that, you know. But you're right. That idea has cropped up somewhere along the line.
Yes, sir. Because somewhere in our discussion sa ano natin sa ating chat room sa frat, I didn't know a lot better until now, and I'm glad I joined this Zoom conference that you delivered with all those PowerPoint presentation, and it's very enlightening. So in my background in investigations and investigating corruption, before I read somebody else's 31 not 31 Bravo UCMJ, no, not that. I'm talking about or I'm thinking about the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is the equivalent, civilian equivalent of the Miranda rights. When I receive something, before I read somebody's Miranda rights, what I do is I reinvestigate the dossier provided to me, and I wait about 4-6 months to package a case so it's airtight. And the only thing is, I want the truthfulness of the suspect and the interviewee. Other than that, if there is a deviation from the fact or an attempt to lead me the wrong way, would be added charges of perjury. So I think meron na sir, meron na po, meron ng, it's to me by my nature, I think there is already clear signs indicative of moving money around, which is actually money laundering. And thank you, po, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Good point.
Thank you.
You know, that notion came out because that was only being privately, discussed by some people knowledgeable in that along that line.
Okay. Thank you, po, sir.
Sige. Ingat,
Thank you, everyone.
Ingat ka dyan
Ingat din
sa
po.
Florida.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Apo.
President. Okay, thank you so
Apo.
much
Thank you po, ma'am.
for joining. Thank you. And we have, I think, Sir MP, we have some questions also from some of our supporters. Also, I would like to call on our media. I know we have some media friends over here. Please raise your hand if you would like to ask a question to Usec Mañalac, so we can promote you. And please raise your hand. And for the meantime, once we see you raising your hand, you will be promoted as panelist. And while doing that, please accept to be a panelist. Sir MP, there is a next question, please. To Usec Mañalac.
Thank you so much. Yes, Doc, thank you so much. Here's a question. Usec, if the sale was questionable, will you take legal action? Number 2, sir, if ever, do you have any idea who can buy the Malampaya shares when PNOC does not have enough funds? Number 3 question, how much does the Philippine government lose from the extension of service contractor? Is the extension illegal? If so, will you hail them into court?
Yeah.
That's from one of our...
Unahin mo muna yung unang tanong. Ano nga ba yun?
Yes po. If the sale was questionable, will you take legal action?
Yeah, the answer is yes. And legal action has been taken. Against persons, but in the case of trying to recover it, it for the government, I think the initial step that was taken by another party, by Mr. Torres, was to try to stop the flow of money, by filing that case with the Supreme Court.
So, sir, if ever, do you have any idea who can buy the Malampaya shares when the PNOC does not have the fund?
You see, that's the common misconception na walang pera ang PNOC. Imagine, Udena ito, no? Udena yung bumili. Later on, it was found out that Udena was, many of his companies were bankrupt, financially deficient, di ba?
Yes,
but how can they borrow? How can they loan, 360 million easily from a bank, a foreign bank at that, no? And a finance guy, and commented this way. Sabi niya, if the government wanted to buy this and wanted to loan money, banks would fall in line, to offer that loan. Imagine, ang collateral mo is a producing gas field.
Yes.
Naka-collateral yung product niyan. But that it's producing. It's making 50 million a day. It can be paid very easily. And it's the government who is borrowing. So meron ka pang government-backed guarantee. This finance guy is saying there should be no problem. If they really wanted it, they could have borrowed the money. Okay, does that answer the question? Because the assumption is, walang pera. That was the testimony of PNOC-EC at the time. We scrounge around. We can only get up to 50% of the price. The question is, did you try hard enough?
If If
So
I may butt
yes.
in, Secretary Usec Mañalac, I mean, siguro ako na magsasabi, I mean, it's impossible na ang gobyerno natin walang pera pa for this, for this purpose. Okay, like you explained, But if the people heading those two departments, or in this case PNOC and DOE, are not acting for the interest of the people, well, naturally, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. So it's clearly enough na nangyari rito is crooked, It's clear. I'm glad we have this webinar right now, because you clearly explain what happened here. Yeah.
Yes. Your comment is is correct. Sad to say, that's what's happening.
Kaya nga yung blood pressure ko tumataas habang nag-explain ka eh.
All right.
Dahil nakakalungkot po eh, kasi I must emphasize kung yung mga yung pera na yan pumasok na sa gobyerno natin. Samantalang pinag-uusapan natin ang problema ng West Philippine Sea. Our Navy, or the Philippine Navy, the Philippine Coast Guard, don't even have all the equipments and ships to begin to guard the West Philippine Sea. Yung pera na makukuha sa Malampaya is good enough to buy all these ships, di ba? And then, if I may add, yung mga fishermen natin sa Zambales, sa Pangasinan, sa West Philippines, sa Palawan, Sir MP, yung mga fishermen nyo riyan, sa Pag-asa, I mean, we could have all the funds to buy all the big boats for them, di ba?
So, that's a fortune.
Yeah, and then, in the essence, sila na rin yung magbabantay sa atin sa West Philippine Sea. Di ba? But it's not happening. So, again, sana may mangyari dito sa pinag-uusapan natin na ito, at saka si Presidente makita niya ang value ng Malampaya.
Yes, definitely.
Tama yan.
Tama ka, Engineer Brad. Hopefully, of course, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., so tulad po ng nasabi kanina, so hopefully po at makarating po sa inyo to, itong issue po ng Malampaya, at kami po ay willing makipagkaroon ng inyo dialogo sa inyo. Ang National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, and of course, ang ating expert dito, si Usec Ed Mañalac, ay marami po kayong malalaman sa kanya dahil matagal niya na po itong alam kung anong nangyayari po sa Malampaya ever since, from the time of its inception and up to now. So anyway, maraming salamat po for all those questions, Sir MP, meron pa bang questions? Meron pa?
As I've been looking, wala pong
wala na. So anyway, meron
Yes,
po ba from the media? I can still see some media friends over here. Would you like to raise your hand? I saw Dean De La Paz of ABS-CBN. I'm not sure if Sir Jarius Bondoc is still here. Ma'am. Okay, from Vera Files. Okay. Nandito ba siya? Si Ma'am Tordesillas? Wala na. Anyway, of course, so I think I would say nasagot lahat ni Usec Mañalac, yung mga updates and developments, and kasi napaka-complicated po talaga nitong Malampaya eh. Para maunawaan, dapat po natin siyang simulan, ano yung history ng itong Malampaya deal up to now. So sa mga presentasyon po ni Usec Mañalac, and of course based on the questions of the panelists, at nasagot talaga ni Usec Mañalac lahat ng ating mga katanungan, at I think kompletong-kompleto. Usec
Salamat.
Mañalac, maraming salamat for that excellent presentation and and answers to the questions of the panelists and our participants. Saludo po kami sa inyo. Maraming
Salamat.
salamat po, Usec
Maraming
Mañalac.
salamat din. Thank you.
Opo.
Sige.
Thank you very
Maraming
much po.
salamat sa mga nakinig. At, you know, spent 3.5 hours with us. Or
Opo.
2.5 hours with us.
Opo.
Maraming
And
salamat
now,
din sa kanilang lahat.
Maraming salamat po. And now, of course, bago po tayo magtapos, we would like to call Sir MP para naman po malaman nyo how to be a part and how to join the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. Sir MP, thank you.
Yes, Doc. Thank you po. So, who are eligible to join? Everyone is enjoined to join us to be part of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. Any Filipino or of Filipino descent, ages 6 to 40 for the youth sector. Minors who are 6 years old to 17 years old require the parental or guardian permission or consent. Membership is also open to non-Filipinos who believe in the mission and goals of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. Membership forms can be filled up at the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea website at www.nymwps.net, or simply send your name, address, phone number, resume, or short bio and picture to email address at info@nymwps.net.
All right. And thank you very much, Sir MP. And of course, yung ating mga social media platforms ng ating ng National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. We have our FB page at NYMWPS. I-type nyo lang po yan. You will see our FB page where we are live right now. And we have our YouTube channel, IMNYMWPS. And we have our Twitter, NYMWPS_official. And our website, www.nymwps.net. And our email address, info@nymwps.net. So maraming salamat. And of course, again, on behalf of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, I would like to extend our sincerest appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to our great and excellent guest speaker for tonight, Usec Eduardo V. Mañalac, for that excellent information
Salamat, Doctora.
and
Thank you very
excellent
much.
insights. Maraming salamat po, Usec Mañalac.
Thank you. Thank you
Maraming
then.
salamat po. Mabuhay
Welcome.
po kayo. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Good
Thank you,
night.
sir. Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
And the
that's
same
all, Tina.
appreciation and thanks go
Thank you,
to our guests, our participants, our media friends, and global netizens, and to our great panelists. Maybe we can promote now all the participants and our panelists. Honorable Maurice Philip Albaida, Sir MP, maraming salamat. Ma'am Via Tagal, of course, and Ma'am Rialyn Limbo. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend, I think because of some Wi-Fi connectivity problem in Palawan. Engineer Latorre, please kindly promote them. Sir Angelo, so, and Miss April Senting of Pangasinan, Ma'am Norm Silvestre, Engineer Rad Abarientos, of
Yes,
course,
thank you.
Sir Angelo Pedro, our panelist and our tech support. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat. And to my husband, Professor
Yes.
Ron Lampkin. I will make this now as a gallery so you can all see. Professor Ron Lampkin is a lifetime member, advisor, consultant of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, who's always behind the scene, and my co-producer for this West Philippine Sea Cats. And Sir Gerard Estella is our Deputy Global Multimedia Head and the chairperson of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea in Malaysia. Of course, he's in Kuala Lumpur Malaysia. And we have also Ma'am Eleanor Baliaran, the Deputy Social Media Director, and the South Korea County Chairperson, Sir Sunny Fernandez, our NYMWPS member. And of course, we would like to thank the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines and Ma'am Ellen Tordesillas of Verifiles, Sir Jairus Bondoc of Philstar, Sir Dean De La Paz of ABS-CBN, Mr. Fernan Angeles of GMA News, and everyone in the media. If I miss all your name, maraming salamat po. Your presence is really, really greatly appreciated. All right. Now, before we're going to end, I would like to make some kind of announcement for Saturday. We have our third season and episode 3 of the West Philippine Sea Cats on Saturday, February 11 from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Manila time. And the theme is how to light up the gray zone in the West Philippine Sea. As we all know, there's a lot of gray zone tactics done in the West Philippine Sea by our nearest neighbor there, of course. And our guest speaker is Colonel Ray Powell. He's a U.S. retired, U.S. Air Force retired, and he leads the project Miyoshu at the Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation at Stanford, California, USA, Stanford University, California, USA. His project seeks to illuminate the marine gray zone as to hold China and other malign actors accountable for their coercive and illegal activities. All right, so please, we will be having another webinar on Saturday because there is a crucial and pressing issues happening right now, right there in Kalayaan Islands. All right, and for the closing remarks, not the least, we would like to call on our youth, Sir Angelo Pedro from Lawag City. Sir Angelo, please.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Salia Lamkin. Malampaya is a crucial key in ensuring the future and stability of our country, especially in energy, economy, and in also the sovereignty of our country. The Malampaya benefits us Filipinos in many ways, from reducing oil imports and even up to ensuring a more stable supply in our country. From the letter of the NYMWPS to President Marcos Jr. for the nullification of Chevron sale and many more is a clear manifestation that stakeholders are still and will get involved and will demand for accountability and transparency from the government and the service contractors involved. It is very appalling to know that the government gave away the Malampaya, which is very critical to the stability and sustainability rather of energy sector of our country to two undeserving companies based on the presentation showed by Usec Mañalac. The National Youth Movement for West Philippine Sea Season 3, Episode 2 is very important in educating and letting the public know about the developments and updates of the Malampaya gas field. And thank you very much to Usec Eduardo Mañalac in bravely exposing how much our country is losing from these deals and how much Filipino is missing out in terms of current issues in Malampaya. And also thank you very much to everyone for spending your valuable time with us. And I'm sure our voices will be heard and it will be amplified more.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Angelo, for that
Thank you.
excellent and great closing remarks. Very powerful, empowering, and inspirational.
Thank
And
you,
of
Doc.
course, we are moving forward from that one, and we are not done yet with this. And we are always with Usec Mañalac and the rest of the National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea, family members, legal counsel, advisors, supporters. We really thank you, everyone. And of course, now let's have again a gallery picture before we will end this event. All right, so are you ready? Smile. Usec, can you please medyo tumaas po kayo para po kita yung buong mukha niya. There. All right. Okay. Smile. Please turn on your video para po makita kayo. At least, please. Yes. Oh, by the way, of course, I would like to acknowledge Ma'am Melody Jacinto of ABS-CBN. She's still here. Thank you so much, Ma'am Melody, and to the rest of our members and supporters. I will make another group photo because we have another frame. All right, please turn on your video and smile. All right. So now, I think we can be saying that this concludes the Season 3, Episode 2 of the West Philippine Sea Catch. And this is Dr. Celia Lamkin saying, of course, God bless and take care. And I am broadcasting live from Guam, USA. Maraming salamat po again, Usec Mañalac, and to all the participants, our panelists. Thank you so much.
Half a day.
All right.
Half a day, Doctor.
Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Mabuhay po. All right. Thank you so much po. And then we are now